HouseNews.com. We're at the eve of the big vote in the House of Representatives and the State Senate on all the conference committees for this 2012 session. For all practical purposes, it's really the last day of the regular session. Now, there's 60 conference committees, but there's only one that all eyes are on, and that's the Education Funding Amendment. As we know, there have been efforts for the last 14 years to try and pass an Education Funding Amendment. This is the farthest an amendment has ever gotten before. No amendment has ever passed the House. The Senate has had support of the governor that's in office and has come to the legislature for an up or down vote on Wednesday. Now, that vote has to be a 3/5 majority, which is a significant number as we've seen before. Both the House and Senate were able to pass their own amendments by that 3/5 majority. But we now have a compromise that creates some problems, particularly for House Speaker Bill O'Brien. Why? Bill O'Brien, in order to get the support of Governor Lynch, had to move to the middle on a lot of the language with this amendment. And the key change he agreed to was to essentially allow the amendment to say the state has a responsibility to maintain an educational system. Seems pretty benign, but to conservatives, particularly libertarian conservatives, that's a game-changing word. The responsibility word, simply because it means, first, in their minds, the state has too much control over education. These folks support maximizing local control. And the other thing about that amendment, essentially, is that it would potentially allow the Supreme Court to continue to have too much of a role in education funding. Now, House Speaker Bill O'Brien and Republican leaders in the legislature essentially say that this constitutional amendment is all about compromise, and it is all about getting as much as conservatives can get in an amendment in order for it to pass. Keep in mind, even if we get through the legislature, this needs a 2/3 vote of the people. That's going to be very difficult to get for any kind of amendment. So he had to keep that in mind, and particularly in order to get Governor John Lynch's support, he had to agree to the use of the word responsibility. So on Wednesday, we'll find out whether Speaker O'Brien can get that magic 237 votes in the House. In March of 2011, the House approved Bill O'Brien's amendment with 252 votes. Now, as I said before, this is a more moderate amendment than that one more than a year ago. And the real question is, can he hold all his troops together? He's had some setbacks already in the last 48 hours. The House Republican Liberty Caucus of New Hampshire has come out against the amendment. Now, they were against O'Brien's amendment last year, but that's certainly not helpful. And we've already had a couple of people who supported Bill O'Brien's First Amendment, who are members of this group, affiliated with this group, who've come out and said, I can't be with this. And some actually told the Speaker in 2011, I'll vote for your amendment and I'll vote only once, but don't ask me to vote again. So that's the biggest challenge he has. And today, on this eve of the vote, there's a lot of politicking going on by the Speaker and all the House Republican leadership. He spent the morning meeting with the House Republican Alliance, again, made up of a lot of conservative Republicans. He's a former co-chairman of the HRA. Many of the HRA members are in his leadership. He should get a lot of support from that group. He met with the chairman and vice chairman to try and go over the agenda for all of what's going to happen on Wednesday. But trust me, the topic du jour was the Education Funding Amendment. The message to the chairman and vice chairman is, get to your committee members, make sure they're with us on this amendment, and if they're not, let me know who they are so I can make a round of calls, emails, and contacts between now and Wednesday morning. He'll also be meeting on Wednesday with the Natural Rights Caucus, which is, again, a very libertarian group and very important to him. This is really not only just about holding the line and keeping all his supporters in line. It's about making sure they're here. It's Wednesday. It's June. It's the first day of candidate filing period. All candidates can file for office starting on Wednesday. And if you're a state representative, many of them, and you're running for re-election, you want to file right away. So you let your constituents know, one, you're running again, and two, you let potential people who are thinking of running, well, I've got to beat an incumbent in order to win that seat. So many of these people will actually be going to their town and city halls, signing up, and then heading up here to vote on Wednesday. So it's critical that House Speaker O'Brien gets all the available Republicans he possibly can. What's the last sweetener he could do to encourage that to happen? Well, the official portrait of the House of Representatives will be taken on Wednesday. And we know every member, Republican, Democrat, or otherwise, wants to be in the picture. We'll keep following it here for you at LobbyNews.com. This is Kevin Landrigan.